Hey, what's happening, guys? Good morning, YouTube. What is happening, everybody? It's early this morning, and I just got my Dunkin' Donuts. I got a little bit of time to kill, so I figured you guys could join me for my morning coffee, and we talk about this article from Zero Hedge. Maryland has decided to tax online ad revenue from Facebook, Google, and I believe Amazon, as well as other big tech advertisers. I believe this tax, we'll get into the article in a minute, I believe this tax is going to be between 3 and 10%. And what's kind of ridiculous about this, companies are already taxed on their profits and their revenue, and now we're just going to slap an additional arbitrary tax on them. I mean, this is nothing more than a money grab, and why this is really kind of messed up is who do you think is ultimately going to pay this tax? It's going to be small businesses like you and me. It's going to be Shopify store owners, local businesses. Obviously, there's big companies and big corporations who use Facebook ads, Google ads, etc. But it's also, for small businesses like you and I, whether you're a service business, you have an e-commerce business, you run a Shopify store, you're a drop shipper, all of us are running Facebook ads, running Google ads. And do you think Google's just going to, okay, we'll just eat it, we'll just make 10% less profit? No, they're going to pass this along to the end consumer. Now, before we get into today's video, something new that I'm going to start doing in these videos, the first 5 people to comment, I'm going to send 0.1 nano. I realize it's not a ton of money, but one of the things that was cool about the crypto community back in the early days, 2013, 2014, 2015, is, there was a very strong sense of community. People used to tip each other for witty comments and things like that. People used to share crypto to spread adoption. If somebody showed interest in crypto, you might send them a little bit of Bitcoin. Obviously, Bitcoin, Ethereum, a lot of the major cryptocurrencies are pretty much unusable right now. And so one cryptocurrency that I've been kind of gaining an interest in is Nano. I realize a lot of people shill Nano. I realize Nano's kind of a controversial coin. People either love it or hate it. But one thing you can't hate on is the fact that it's a usable cryptocurrency. If I send you 0.1 Nano, you're going to get 0.1 nano. There's no fees taken out. You're going to get it nearly instantly. So I thought this would just be I thought this would be cool on a couple fronts. A, it's going to get some engagement. It's going to get some comments on my videos, which is going to help more people see them, which hopefully is going to bring in more ad revenue, which allows me to share more money with you guys. And I'd like to get it to where we're actually giving away a full Nano coin, but Nano is no longer like $2. It's now $6 or $7. So that's what we're going to be doing. First 5 comments on new videos, I'm going to send, drop a comment if you want to say something, and drop your Nano address. I will pay out the first 5 people to drop it. And this is going to last until the next video gets released. So, I mean, if 24, 48 hours passes and nobody submits a thing, like I'm not going to be checking back on videos from a week earlier if I don't get the 5 comments. So once a new video drops, I'm done sending out Nano to the previous video, and it's going to move on to the new one. I think probably the easiest way to get started with Nano is to download the WeNano app. It's on the Apple Store and the Android Store. You're not going to have to go download some weird third-party app. Very easy to set up. It's going to create a seed for you. It's going to create a username for you, and then you can either send me your WeNano username or you can send me your Nano address, and I'll send, again, 0.1 nano to the first 5 people on each video. So thought that might be fun. Getting into today's article, this one again is from Zero Hedge. Maryland set to tax online ads from Facebook and Google. Look out, Google and Facebook. Maryland is now set to become the first state in the nation to tax online ads. It's a trend that, if it catches on, and we predict it will, could likely sweep through the nation as money-hungry spendocrats look for more ways to finance their respective Green New Deals, government-subsidized sex changes, and racial equality seminars. The state House of Delegates and Senate both voted to override a veto of a bill from last year that would place tax on online ads, according to NPR. The tax would apply to companies like Facebook and Google and will range from 2.5% to 10% per ad, depending on the value of the company selling the ad. It's expected to net the state $250 million per year, which the state then says it will use to fund and overhaul public education that is expected to cost $4 billion. I don't know how you guys feel about taxes. I hate taxes. I hate the government. And, it's one thing, if you want to raise taxes on me, at least clean up some of the waste and corruption. The government is a joke. I don't know if you guys saw this recently in Joe Biden's stimulus deal or COVID deal, whatever this thing is that's going on. Basically, federal employees are going to be able to federal employees who have kids who have not gone back to school will be able to stay home from work, not do any work, and get paid $1,400 per week. And what's kind of interesting about how they set this up, and again, government stupidity, they don't set an age cap. So theoretically, if you have a high school kid who really doesn't need mom or dad at home with them, if you have a high school kid whose school hasn't gone back. You can just decide, I'm not going to go to work and I'm going to stay home and collect $1,400 a week. And they did, like I said, they didn't set any age cap. So theoretically, if you have a 21-year-old college student and their college hasn't gone back in session, you will be able to stay home and collect $1,400 per week. You know who's paying for that? You, me, and all the taxpayers out there. And keep in mind, the people, you and me, this pandemic's been going on for a year, and it's like pulling teeth to give the people $600, yet government officials or government workers, bureaucrats, get $1,400 to stay home and do nothing. It's absolutely ridiculous. So if you kind of cleaned up some of the waste and corruption and stupidity before you asked me for new tax money, okay, I might be able to get on board with that. But this, to me, is just a clear money grab. Let's see. Those advocating for the tax say that it is simply Maryland's tax code trying to catch up with where the economy has wound up. Governor Larry Hogan said it would raise operating costs for businesses who would then pass the costs onto the state and customers. Hogan has been fighting the state to uphold his veto of the tax. And do you think really in the midst of a global pandemic, it is the best time to come up with some far-reaching tax like this, and especially one that's ultimately going to be passed down to small business operators? Doug Mayer, the spokesman for Marylanders for Tax Fairness, a coalition of businesses created to fight the tax, said on Friday, in Senate President Bill Ferguson's short tenure as a leader, he has managed to do what no other Senate president has ever done, raise taxes and costs on Marylanders in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. There is no doubt what took place today was a historic event, but not in the way President Ferguson hoped. This tax increase was historically short-sighted, foolish, and harmful to countless small businesses and employees, and Marylanders will remember it that way. Ferguson pulled the solution for these criticisms directly out of the Democratic playbook last week, more regulation. He introduced emergency legislation last week to prohibit big tech from simply passing along the costs of the new tax to local businesses, NPR wrote. How does he plan to do that? You're not going to be able, anytime taxes, fees, costs, anything are raised on businesses, it gets passed along to the end consumer. They can write all the legislation they want. I guarantee you, ultimately, it will be you and I paying for this in higher Facebook ads, Google ads, and Amazon ad costs. The new tax is likely going to result in lawsuits, Maryland Attorney General Brian Fosh said last year. And a tax isn't just being considered in Maryland. Washington, D.C. has also passed and then repealed a similar tax, and more states are considering it, the report notes. Baltimore bookstore owner Ben Ray concluded, beyond their infiltration into our daily lives, these big digital firms are further exploiting us by failing to pay taxes on this advertising, grabbing and monetizing our data without just compensation. This legislation is about fairness, making sure those who reap enormous profits in our state help support public services here. It's also about developing a tax code that keeps up with a changing economy. It's about ensuring we recognize the value of our personal data at least as much as corporations do. And it's about ensuring that Marylanders, and not just large global corporations, reach the benefits of the landmark economic changes happening around us. And I was kind of surprised by the comments in this article. Most people, and Zero Hedge is kind of an interesting collaboration of people. Like, just some of their views. Like, Zero Hedge hates Bitcoin and hates cryptocurrency. Zero Hedge does a lot of articles on crypto, and every single one is like fake money. It's going to crash. What happens when the electricity goes out? But they also seem to they also seem to hate big tech. So it seems like most people are kind of supportive of this, even though, again, ultimately it's going to be passed on to small businesses. The state should hire clickbot armies in Southeast Asia with VPNs set to Maryland and really drive up the taxation click fraud. Damn, there's really a silver lining in every cloud. How's it going? Broke up with my boyfriend yesterday. Want sex without commitment. What? Don't get fooled. It's not a tax proposal. It's a racket to squeeze campaign donations from businesses. Politicians, hey, we plan to implement this tax, but you can donate to this super PAC and change our minds. I definitely think that's true. And there's no secret about that. That's how government works. People get into positions of power, then they suggest some tax that's going to hurt an industry. The industry winds up meeting with that politician. The plan was never set to go through in the first place, but it's a way to essentially extort money out of companies. ZH is the most two-faced site there is. On one hand, it bans I don't know what he's talking about. They might try, but G catches fake clicks pretty well. Okay, so they're talking about fake clicks. This might be the first time I can say that sounds like a great new tax. They'll spend more to benefit themselves and find something new to tax with the new president. I completely agree. Like, what's next? Users are going to be taxed on each tweet that they send or each YouTube video that they post. Maryland will get given the Australian setting, so Maryland 0 results. That's kind of referring to Google's recent fight with Australia. VPN for the win. Good point. Will the tax apply to ads purchased in Maryland or the ads viewed in Maryland? So that's what could result, is just everybody decides with my ads, I'm going to target every state but Maryland. Or Google Ads just pulls out of Maryland and hurts small businesses who rely on Google Ads. You can't block the entire world from using Facebook. They thought it was only Australia. What happens when half the world wants to do the same? Let's see. Good. Tax Facebook into oblivion. I beg you. Disagree there. Awesome. Budget will be balanced overnight. Tax them so high that nobody advertises there. Like, how does that make sense? Good thing state pensions aren't invested in these companies. And why are they proposing this tax? For the schools, for the children. Just think of the children. Sheesh. And that's an easy thing, right? Like, you want some money. It's for the kids. You don't want this tax. You hate kids. Let's see. Ha, ha, ha. Maryland just pulled the drain on a Titanic. Jesus. By the time they finish, they will tax you on the unwanted ads. Blatantly unconstitutional, but it should be some interesting court cases. With all due respect, unconstitutional, left the building on November 3rd, 2020, never to return. 250 in new taxes that may or may not actually materialize to fund a $4 billion education overhaul. They should start with the state's fuzzy math departments. Overhaul public education. I thought public education is nothing more than free babysitting. Why is it costing $4 billion? So yeah, we'll wrap this article up here. Again, don't forget about the Nano giveaway. First 5 people to comment and drop a Nano address or WeNano username will get 0.1 Nano from me. That's all I got for today's video. If you guys enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, click that subscribe button below, ring the bell, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.